Hello everyone, welcome. I'm here to talk about our popular Android UI toolkit, Jetpack Compose. I know that many of the developers have been waiting for this moment when a time when Jetpack Compose is stable. Now is the ideal time to be an Android developer with Jetpack Compose. We don't need any XML anymore. Instead, we are going to build our UI with regular Kotlin file using the full power of Kotlin language. Okay, let's move to the main slides. Let's have a look at the topics covered in this presentation. First one is the introduction to the Jetpack Compose. Now, in the beginning of the section, I am going to introduce with you Compose in general and then with some of the most important concepts as well. Based on the basic knowledge, we are going to build an application. So, let's build an app. Then, always there should be a difference between XML and Compose concept. So we can discuss that also. That is the difference between XML and Compose. And finally, we have to summarize all the information. So let's start. First of all, one of the basic building blocks of an Android application is undoubtedly the design part. Recently, on Android side, Jetpack Compose, which has been very popular since the stable version was released. It brings a new approach and a breath of fresh air to the existing design, coding of developers in the Android application ecosystem. In the Compose, we are writing the code in Kotlin language. Now we can see the pictorial representation of Kotlin language, and we have a Jetpack library and Compose. Compose is there. So that this is a combination of Compose development. Then, yeah. Here we have a small code snippet. You can just go through it. This is the just composable function with a composable annotation. A Compose app is made up of a composable function. It's a regular function marked with an annotation and composable, which can be called other composable function. A function is all you need to create a new UI component. Yeah, this is the actual imperative UI sample code. This is the native method actually. In native Android development, we are using an XML file and a code. So we have to add the widgets in the XML file and we need to connect that widgets with the code file using an ID. Here we can see that the text view has an ID TV_name. And in the code side, we can see that we have to declare a text view as a TV name and we are using the find view by ID. Find view by ID r.id TV_name. This is how we are fetching the Android application IDs from XML file to code file in the native system. But in the case of Compose, we need to introduce two important concepts: initial composition and recomposition. This is the most important concept in Compose. The first one is the initial composition. Initial composition is nothing but this is the Compose development. That is, first of all, we are creating an app and running this app. First, the UI is connected with the code as called initial composition. That initial composition and recomposition is the important concept. So, initial composition is when you display your UI by calling the composable function for the first time. We already discussed that we have a small course of composable function. Once we call one single composable function, it will call the UI component and create the UI for the first time. This is called initial composition. Then recomposition. Recomposition is nothing but whenever the input data is changed, we need to redraw the UI for the second time also. So the composable function will call for the second time, or whatever time is the UI is updated, we have to call that composable function multiple times. That is called recomposition. Actually, the clear definition is recomposition is when your composable function recompose or display the UI when the state of the app is changes. Once the app state is changed, it will call the recompose. Okay, then next 5. This is the initial composition. First, in our imperative way, that is a native method, we have to set the value like if text view is there, we have a change in the text. We have to call text view set text and we need to add the modified text to the input parameter. But in the case of recompose, we can call it as a mutable state. Here I have created a sample application. Now on the other hand, in Compose, it's a little bit different. When we want to change the internal state of a composable, we just call the composable function again with the new data. And by doing so, the UA which has been made that composable will be redrawn and we will be able to see the change in the UA part. And here is the remember function. We can see that my value inside the my composable function, we have a remember value tells the composable that we need to save the value for the first time. Then okay, in clear definition we can say that it exists over time. This is what remember does. It can be changed. This is what mutable state of does. Here we have the sample code of a counter application. Counter application now. It's a button click. While click on this button, the initial value will be false, and once I click on this button, the value will be changed as a true. Okay, here I will explain the code. First of all, we have an activity. This is the activity is nothing but most of you have know that it's just a page. It's just a page in the Android application. Inside the main activity, I am calling a my composable function. My composable, you can see that is annotated with composable method. My composable, and inside that I declare var my value by remember mutable state of false. The meaning of that line is we have a variable like my value, and by remember means we have to remember the initial value of that particular parameter variable. So the initial value will be false. That is why we are using mutable state of. Mutable state, instead we are passing the initial value, that is false. That is why once we run the application, we can see that button label is false. Once we click on the button, that is the next line. Inside the button, we are initiated an on click the equal to my value equal to not my value. So we have to switch that value of the into true and alternatively false. And the text will be set as my value. Once we click on the button, the false value will be changed into true. So the like that, the button label will be changed to false to true. This is how the value will be. That is the app state will be changed while click on the button. Here our variable my value is no longer a regular variable. Now it's a state. Yeah, that is what I am trying to say. Here we can the my value is representing the state of the application. Mutable state of will be saved the initial value of the variable. And let's talk about the intelligent recomposition. Let me add two logs. Here I have added two log into that code. This is the previous code, you know. Inside the first value, I am added an initial composition and getting a message like my composable. Inside the button click, I had added a log as recomposition. Button content lambda. Once I run the application, you can see that for the first time it's calling the initial composition, and after that the my value will be changing frequently. Sorry. The second time the my value will be changing frequently. That is why it's calling recomposition one by one. You can see the log also. First time it's calling initial composition, that is my composable. The second time it's recomposition, and third time it's also recomposition, because when you click on the button, the my value will be changing to false and true and alternatively. And I'm going to the next slide. This is layout. Inside the Compose, the Android developers and mobile developers can know that we have different types of layout. In Android application, we have linear layout, constraint layout, frame layout, and relative layout, etc. Likewise, in Compose, we have three basic layout. They are the column, row, and box. Do you guys have any idea from this picture how will be the items will be placing inside the layout? Anyone? It's a pictorial representation of our layout and the items, how the items can be placed. Anyone? Okay, I will explain. First we have column. Inside that we can see 3 green color boxes placed as vertically. So that means inside the column layout, the items will be placed as vertically, and in row the items can be placed as horizontally. In box I can simply say that mobile developers can know that it's same like a frame layout, and in box layout means you guys have an application like our my profile page. Inside our profile page we have a round profile pic, and we have an edit button like in the corner of the image. That is how we are placing the icon and image using the box layout. Okay, I will say an example also. So there are 3 main layouts components which we can use in the project to create almost each and every design out there. This is the basic layout, but also we can use the custom layout by combining these 3 main layouts. Okay, but in this presentation I am only focusing on the main layouts only. This is the example for the column layout. Please go through the code, you will get an idea. This is the output of that code snippet. Here we have a function like artist card. Artist card is a composable function. That is why we are using an annotation like at composable. Okay, inside that I am declaring a column. Inside that column I have two text. So it will be aligned like place will be like vertically. This is the output for that. For the first text will be placed horizontally, and the second text will be just below that text view. This is how the column layout working. This is the example for the row layout. In this example I am included both row and column, so it will be easy to understand. Just go through the code and output, you will get an idea. Here we have first row. Inside the row we have an image and the previous code snippet column. Okay, so we can say that the image will be placed here and the column will be placed horizontally with the image. So inside the column we have the artist name and his last name. This is how we are implementing row and column. And this next one is the box layout. This is the most familiar example for the box layout. We can place the elements in the one over above. And let's build an app. Here I am just developing and creating a small code for the counter application. First of all, we have to create a Compose activity from the Android Studio. So to start a new Compose project, open Android Studio and select Start a new Android Studio project. When creating a new project, choose empty Compose activity. Yeah, this is the default empty Compose activity. While once we create the Compose activity from the Android Studio, we have some default functions inside that. This is the default layout for that. A composable function is a regular function annotated with @composable. This enables your function called other composable function within it. Here we can see that inside the greeting function, inside the basic code lab theme, we are placing a surface. Surface is nothing but it's a background. When we want to set a background and background color for an application, we can use the surface. Inside the surface, we can choose the color from material theme. Here you can see that color equal to material theme, color scheme, background. Inside that surface, I am calling the greeting activity. Greeting activity is a composable function. Here, one more function is there. You can see that the annotation preview. Actually, in native method, in XML, while using XML, we have a preview screen also. Once we are placing the widgets in the XML, we can see whatever we are adding, how the items are placing in the XML file, we can see the preview page. But in Compose, how can we see the preview? Because we don't have any XML file. So, for that purpose, Compose is providing a method like preview. That is why we are putting this code inside this at the rate preview. That is the annotation preview show background true. Inside the preview function, we can call that composable function. So we can see that preview in that. Yeah, this is the another important term is modifiers. Most of the code you can see that I am using a modifier is here. Modifier is nothing but it is used for it's allowed to decorate the code. For example, we are changing the composable size, layout, behavior, and appearance, adding information and height level. That is and making a button or text view as a clickable. We are using modifiers. Here I am setting a padding of 24 dp for a column. Inside the data we have a hello and name. Name is passing from another function. Here I am using the example. Next, this is the output. Okay, we have a background color. Inside that we are putting a column. For column we are putting a padding like 24 dp. That is why the content is placing little bit more away from the corners. That is we are putting the padding. Okay, here we have an example of sample counter app. Here I have implemented a text view and which is clickable. And initially I have saved the state of the text value as 0, and based on the each click on the button it will be increased. The text view it will be increased. Here the code. I will explain the code. We have a counter app activity, and inside that I am calling my counter component composable function. Inside the my counter component composable function, I am saving a value, that is a variable counter. Initially I am setting the counter value as 0. So that is why I am using remember mutable state of 0. Remember means we have to remember the value for the future purpose, and mutable state means this will be the initial value of that particular variable. So the initial value of the particular counter variable will be 0 initially. Then custom text. I have added a text for that. While clicking on the text, it will be increase the count value. So that is why I am putting the code inside that. Custom text, we have a text value, counter equal to the value, the counter value, that will be initially 0. Then you can see that I have made that text view as a clickable using modifier.clickable. Inside the clickable value, I have to increase the value of that counter. So the value will be increases 1, 2, 3, etc. Yeah, this is the custom text function. Inside here I am passing just parameters into the custom text function. This is the detailed description of the method. Inside that custom text, I am customizing the text value as we have putting a style here. We have added a font size of 20 sp and text decoration and underlying a text, and font family is monospace. Here is the output. Initially the app will be counter equal to 0 and counter equal to 1. Okay, now with the introduction of Jetpack Compose, we are moving to the difference between Compose and XML. We have different main points, just small points are included in this presentation. So now with the introduction of Jetpack Compose, it doesn't mean that XML is deprecated. In my opinion, Compose will be the preferred way of dealing with the UI in the future. Compared with XML, Compose can accomplish more with the less code. Because in the native method, we are using XML files and a lot of widgets in that, and connecting that widgets with the code in the code side also. But in the case of Compose, we don't have any XML, only putting the Kotlin languages in the page only. So we can reduce a lot of code from the application by using Compose. For example, we can see that there is less code. I will say an example about the less code implementation. In the native method, for listing an application, for example, to display a list of items, in the case of XML, we are required to create a lot of files, that is adapter class, view model class, and fragment, and we need to connect with that for listing an items. But in the case of Compose, we can simply use a lazy column. We don't have any adapter to connect with that. We can simply use a lazy column. Inside there, we can listing the items into one by one in the application. That is an example for less code. And accelerate development with the interoperability. Interoperability means we can combine the XML and compose inside an activity by using a compose view. Okay, I will explain that is later. Now, the final word. In conclusion, Compose is a safe choice for a developer who just started with the Android development. While XML is still dominant in the legacy project, because most of the components will be not added into the Compose, but some of the like add view, it's not included in the Compose. For that purpose, we just want to depend on the legacy project and normal coding, native method for that. Okay, Compose is the modern toolkit for the building native UA. Go ahead and use the Compose in your first project. Then these are the reference link which I followed when I studied the Compose. I will share this PPT with you guys, and you can go through it. It will be very helpful for you if you are interested to learn more about the Jetpack Compose. I'm still studying about that. And we have a lot of opportunities to create sample application with a lot of ideas and requirements. And currently I'm trying to implementing the MVVM architecture with the Compose, and we have some APIs are there, and we need to implement that, and it will be more like dependency ingestion also we can include it in the Compose file. So you can go through this reference link for your reference purpose also. And that's all. Do I have any queries?
Yes, hi Greeshma.
Hi Kirti.
So can you tell me, like, is it possible to use Compose and the XML together at the same time in an activity?
Yeah, sure, we can use because the Compose is an interoperability method, because inside that I'm already told you that we don't have any, some of the views are not included in the Compose till yet. It's still in progress. So some of the add view we can include both XML and Compose in same project by using Compose view. Compose view is a different class from that, and we can use the Compose view for containing both XML and normal Compose function. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Greeshma.
Yeah. Thank you, Kirti. Anyone have questions?
So, what about the performance of these things?
Performance will be little bit if we are using live data, because once we get the new output, the UA will be updated fastly. So the performance will be good compared to the normal way.
Hi Greeshma.
Hi Vishnu bro.
Vishnu here. Is there any limitation in using these old widgets? Like, do we have option to add widgets, navigation bar, bottom navigation bar, side navigation bar, etc.?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in Jetpack library we have lot of items like Compose. We have live data, view model, and bottom navigation, navigation graph, etc. For the Compose, we can use this native section, that is the navigation, side navigation, bottom navigation. We can include by using a different library for that. Android Compose navigation. That is the library for that. We can add that dependency in our code, and we can implement that navigation in our code using Compose also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there any minimum target versions for this?
Yeah, it will be while we are adding the dependency from the Android Studio always providing the latest version. It's just a little bit complication with our versions number. We can always add the latest version for the performance, good performance. That will be my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So is it like if you are creating a new project from start, you can use this one, or if you have an existing project, can you use this?
Yeah, we can use, because if I have a project and I have to add a new feature or a new module, like if I in the registration page or any other separate registration, normal user registration, not any separate device registration or any separate module, we can use the Compose, because we can call that function from the Compose view. It will be easy for us using. Starting it will be little bit struggle, because we don't have any XML file for connecting, and while little bit experience with it, it will be easy for us. Okay, thank you. Ashwini.
Hi Hi Grishma.
Hi,
So we are familiar with some conventional concepts like view binding or data binding, right?
Yeah.
So do we have to use this kind of conventional concepts in Jetpack Compose?
Yeah, sure. We can use because using Compose view class, we can add that binding in our project. View binding and data binding, we can include into that project by using the Compose view class. Compose view class is a elaborated class with the inside the Compose. I'm not included that class in our slide, but still we can use that function for the more performance and more accessibility.